How do you know that? Oh, look, Amber. What's that? Perfect gift from Noah.
Did you hear that? There's a bird outside. I think it's a mourning dove. I said, I think you're right. She said, when I'm here in the glow of your child, I feel so weightless and safe from harm. I know I'm out of here, can touch us here. You know that I believe my dear. I said, Meg, did you hear that? I think it's starting to rain. It feels like summer's closing its tired eyes again. The winter's clawing heels fall, but in this moment we're above it all. Like no amount of sadness can sweep us away, and no amount of madness can touch us today. Jess, could you hear that? What was that sound? I said, it's a foghorn from the docks on the edge of town. I said, the ports get foggy this time of year. It's just something you get used to.
That's just one fairly major curve, today known as Hunziker Curve, after founding KBR in Memphis, whose action was right here after his passing. Two long, short, and another long blouse, and a nice stylized manner there, are announcing our approach to Whiteside Tunnel, named for Honorary Colonel James Anderson Whiteside. The tunnel here is 986 feet in length. Every inch of it was hand dug by predominantly Irish labor between 1856 and 1858. Now, the narrow bore of this tunnel is the reason the line was abandoned. So for anyone in the open-air baggage room of car number 390 or hanging out the commissary car doors, please keep all hands like dark feet, pets, and relatives inside a little time, as there are less than 18 inches of clearance between the train and the tunnel wall. There's a few places that are probably only about 12 inches of clearance. So, Whiteside Tunnel, everyone. Hold your breath and make a wish, because it's tunnel time in Tennessee. But I hope you're full of hot air like I am. With the dome on the end of the train. Our dome car is one of only 6 ever built that'll fit through this tunnel, but it's still very tight, so we're restricted to 5 miles an hour. Without the dome, it would be 15 and 20 miles an hour through the tunnel. Back in the day, Southern Railway did 40 miles an hour through the tunnel. Whiteside Tunnel opened on the 9th of August, 1859. Dynamite was invented 8 years later. It's named for Honorary Colonel James Anderson Whiteside, Tennessee state legislator, major railroad proponent in these parts, and father of the city of Chattanooga. shiny electric lights made out of a torch or a mobile telephone, and you'll see the hand-carved stone railway for freight service. Now, it's a very historic locomotive, and it was the first locomotive of its type delivered to the Southern Railway. It's what we call a Mikado, which is in reference to the wheel arrangement, 282, or two little pilot wheels at the front, one on each side, that guide the locomotive through curves. There are 8 powered 63-inch driving wheels at the top speed of 55, 60 miles an hour if you really push it 65 miles an hour. And then under the rear of the cabin box, there's 2 traveling wheels that carry the weight back there and again guide the curve. Now, the first 282 was built in 1897 for a coal hauling railway near Hokkaido in Japan, and Mikado was what Victorians called the Emperor, so the 282s became known as the Mikados. Now, during the Second World War, there was a push to rename them MacArthur's, but it never really stuck. They always put the Mikados there. So it was the first one on the Southern. It also was the first locomotive to make use of what's called superheated steam. Prior to that, locomotives were saturated with soap. So you shovel the coal, or other railways might be wood or oil, into the fire box at the back. Then you've got the boiler, the circular bit, and it's filled with water. And to the center of it, you've got tubes there that head up to the smoke box. That's the silver part in the front. And the gases from the fire, they pass through the tubes up to the smoke box, which heats the water up, causes it to boil, and then rises up into the steam dome, and then into the drying height of the steam dome, the cylinders to make the crank. The steam is very wet. Sometimes they'd be called a slobberfuss or a slobberface there with a saturated engine. They then realized that they could put superheaters in the locomotives. They were additional tubes that passed back through the boiler there, which then would heat the steam up, dry it out, hence the name superheat, because they make it much hotter there. It made the engine much more efficient and much more powerful. The 4501 was eventually joined by over 350 siblings there, and a number of earlier steam locomotives, such as our number 630 from 1904, were then taken into the shop and rebuilt with superheating. They liked the superheat so much in the old ones they rebuilt. And said it could come under its own power, no less. And nobody could have ever guessed what would happen. People turned out by the thousands to see this dirty old steam engine come down the main line. And Southern Railway saw that. They saw people looking at a steam engine that said Southern Railway on the side of it and realized what a good public relations tool it might be. So it got here to Chattanooga, but it ran with just. It was warm. It was dirty. They've done their best. They've washed it up, put a new paint on it, but it's still a tired engine. And I'll point out, this was before the museum was as it is today. We leased space at the old Western Union Coal Yard. We'll come by up here about a mile and a half, and I'll point it out to you. There was no way to work on a locomotive. So with the help of the Southern Railway, they contributed parts for the Lucy Boiler Company, which will also pass here on the belt line, allowed us to do the work in their facility. Of course, the museum then couldn't afford to pay Lucy, so they allowed museum members to use the Lucy tubes and facilities well with the original tank and such way. Now, this is actually not the 4501's original tender. Its original tender today runs behind our smaller steam locomotive number 630. The tender behind the 4501 came off a Central Georgia Railway steam locomotive that exploded at Roswell, Georgia in 1947. It would carry considerably more water than the 01's original tender. The 01's tender only held 10,000 gallons of water. A trip to Summerville like today will use 11 or 12,000 gallons. That's more than that tender will hold. The 630's original tank held 7,500 gallons. It used about 8,000 gallons. So the decision was made when they pulled this tender out in 1968 and put it behind the locomotive. It carried 17, if you really heat behind it, 18 tons of coal and 13,000 gallons of water.
It's a foghorn from the docks on the edge of town. I said the ports get foggy this time of year. It's just something you get used to living around here. She said I don't know what to do with my life. Let's take a look at you. You do what you love. It must be nice to wake up in the morning and live for yourself. I feel so boring, like everybody else. it's a hummingbird. It's a pretty rare sight still when I'm here, light in your eyes. I feel so loyal and safe from harm. Like no amount of craziness can reach us here. You know I found a place in us that I hold dear.
Coaches on our train. I mentioned how the 390 came to the museum. The 907, it was donated straight to us by Southern Railway at the end of 1981. It struggled in the early years, but it still had the old 32-volt DC electrical system and the steam heat. Now, after Union Pacific had success at putting diesel-powered generators under their cars, we rebuilt the 907. In 1988, the very first coach that we rebuilt to be self-sufficient with a 220-volt diesel generator beneath the floor there. At that same time, it was painted in our founder, Robert M. Sewell Jr.'s beloved colonial red exterior and Grand Junction gray interior. His son tells me that people used to tease him that he must have had a gray personality.
Lounge chairs. You can eat anything you want. Sodas, water, cemetery.
Arms and
It
I
is.
think if I lived on this side of the United States,
That way,
I would take
you should see those.
Yeah. Well, you also would have to do, if you wanted, you could either take a flight from LA, because I want to go out of
We're not too far
Miami.
from
This last cruise I took, we went out to Fort Lauderdale, Tampa. But I want to go out of Miami.
Through all the snow in these northern skies, and all them crows with their strange mournful cries, the lowest lows and the grand soaring highs, I'll be kind to you the rest of my days. Through all them shadowy barbed wire streets, and all them lying servants in their parliamentary seats, through all the frozen-hearted warlords and thieves, I'll be kind to you the rest of my days. And so when you go down that dark, foggy road, if there's one thing that you know, when you're out in the cold, with all the warmth my devoted heart holds, I'll be kind to you the rest of my days. And all them lonely faces, them rush hour subway trains, the things that you know deeply but can never be explained, I'll be kind to you the rest of my days. And so when you go, take this promise for the road, if there's one thing that you know, when you're out there all alone, with all the warmth my devoted heart holds, I'll be kind to you the rest of my days. And I'll be kind to you the rest of my days. Dark, full of fading stars pulling us apart through no fault of your own. You've been winded and thrown blind into the wolves, and been forced to own heartache that isn't yours, while these turbulent waters they rocked your balance and swayed you to harbors you've never normally tread. Am I worthy of forgiveness? Have I earned your faith? It seems the burden of your wish list has returned, and so I'll wait. Where's my light at the end of the tunnel? Where's my light at the end of the tunnel? Where's my light at the end of the tunnel? The one you promised to me.